The only thing white people have lost they have lost the ability to do is to say nigga without consequences. That's it. What else have they lost? Donald Sterling said made $2 billion saying.
Well,
Joe Rogan said he made $150 million saying.
Delroy and I are delighted to be presenting the first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making.
We're here to celebrate.
I would like to thank my incredible cast. Wunmi, thank you so much for giving Smoke opportunity to be him.
DL Hughley is letting everyone know he's not a fan of the Academy Awards, and he had some words from Michael B. Jordan about winning an Oscar after that shameful incident at the BAFTAs. Now, to be clear, DL didn't bash Michael personally. Instead, he called out the whole system for what he claims is a humiliation ritual of black actors. DL previously explained that he doesn't really put much significance on these awards and said that black people shouldn't beg white people to love and accept us. And then he tweeted this: whether it's the Oscar committee or a grand jury, whenever people meet in secret, the results ain't gonna be good for black people. Mind you, DL has been around Hollywood long enough to see what you lose when you get something, and that is what it's saying happened with Michael. DL watched Will Smith campaign hard for years, only to finally win after slapping another black man at the same ceremony. He saw Halle Berry win an Oscar for playing a black woman who falls in love with a racist prison guard who executed her husband. The role required graphic scenes, trauma, and ultimately, a white man's redemption through Halle's character. And what happened to Halle after that win? Her career kind of faded away, and now she's mostly doing straight-to-streaming movies. When Halle won in 2002, she dedicated her award to Dorothy Dandridge, the first African-American woman nominated for an Oscar, and to every woman of color who had to fight for a seat at this table.
This moment is for Dorothy Dandridge, Lena Horne, Diane Carroll. It's for the women that stand beside me, Jada Pinkett, Angela Bassett, Vivica Fox, and it's for every nameless, faceless woman of color that now has a chance because his door tonight has been opened.
But what did Halle's win actually change? Halle herself admitted she thought it would mean more opportunities, more meaningful roles. Instead, she got Catwoman. And here we are 24 years later, and Halle is still the only black woman to win the Oscar for Best Actress in a Leading Role. And then there was Lupita Nyong'o. She won the Oscar for Best Actress in Supporting Role for 12 Years a Slave. But the only thing she got from that was more offers to play slave roles.
After I won that Academy Award, you think, oh, I'm gonna get lead roles here and there. Oh, Lupita, we'd like to play another movie where you're a slave, but this time you're on a slave ship. Those are the kinds of offers I was getting in the months after winning my Academy Award.
Now here's where this entire Michael B. Jordan Oscar thing becomes messy. Just weeks ago at the BAFTAs, Michael was presenting an award when a man with Tourette syndrome shouted the N-word at him and his Sinners co-star, Delroy Lindo.
Delroy and I are delighted to be presenting the first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making.
We're here to celebrate.
And yes, the man has Tourette's, so let's just say it was a complete coincidence that he happened to shout that specific word at the exact moment when two black actors were on stage. That part we can buy. But here's where it gets weird. The BAFTAs were pre-recorded with a 2-hour delay, and the BBC had time to edit some other moments they didn't want the audience at home to see. And let's be real, if he yelled a slur at a certain other group of people, the BBC would have cut it with zero hesitation. So why did they leave it in? What was the purpose of letting two black actors be humiliated like that in front of millions around the globe? And here's what else is weird. Michael B. Jordan said nothing about the incident. Delroy Lindo later told reporters he wished someone from BAFTA spoke to us afterwards, but Michael stayed silent and just took it. And then weeks later, he wins an Oscar. And this is what DL means by a humiliation ritual. First, you're publicly degraded. Then the same institution that failed to protect you hands you a gold gold statue, and you're expected to smile and thank them. It's like they're testing you. Can you take the humiliation and still play nice? Can you be a good black actor who doesn't make waves? And let's look at the bigger picture here. For actors of color, the Oscars are a measure of compliance. Can you play the game, smile through the slurs, take degrading roles and call it art? So when D.L. Hughley says black people shouldn't beg white people to love and accept us, he's talking about exactly this. And here's another part that really proves D.L.'s point. In the entire 96-year history of the Academy Awards, not a single black director has ever won Best Director. Let that sink in. And you can count the nominations on one hand. John Singleton made history in 1991 as the first black director ever nominated for Boys in the Hood, but he didn't win. Lee Daniels got nominated for Precious, didn't win. Steve McQueen was nominated for 12 Years a Slave, didn't win. Barry Jenkins was nominated for Moonlight in 2016, but he lost to Damien Chazelle, director of La La Land. Then there's Spike Lee, one of the most influential filmmakers in American history. He didn't even get a nomination until 2019 for BlacKkKlansman, but he never won. Now think about what that means. Black actors can perform in white stories and win Oscars for playing slaves, maids, and tragic figures whose entire existence revolves around white people. But actually telling your own stories and controlling the narrative, that's where Hollywood draws the line. And this connects directly to what DL is saying about a humiliation tactic. But this actually goes way back to Hollywood's origins. Hattie McDaniel became the first black Oscar winner in 1940 for Gone with the Wind, playing a maid. But on the night of the Oscars, she was forced to sit at a segregated table at the back of the room, away from her white co-stars. And even in death, racism followed her. When Hattie died of cancer in 1952, she requested to be buried at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, but they denied her because the cemetery was segregated. For decades, there was no marker for her, and the cemetery finally placed a memorial monument in 1999. And Hattie was making the same choice black actors make today. Take the degrading role and hope it leads somewhere better. But for Hattie, it didn't, and she spent her career fighting for scraps. Fast forward to today, and the white savior narrative is still Hollywood's favorite way to tell black stories. From The Blind Side to Green Book, a movie about a black genius who exists mainly to teach a white guy something about himself. The black experience is always filtered through white gaze and packaged for white consumption. And according to Touré F. Reed, a professor of Afro-American history at Illinois State University, Sinners is no better. Dr. Reed recently published a criticism of Sinners and said it shows a false vision of empowerment. According to Dr. Reed, the movie pushes the narrative that the solution to oppression is simply for black people to realize their power. But as he pointed out, personal empowerment cannot actually change systems rooted in economic exploitation. And you can agree with that assessment or not, but the fact is, Hollywood still has a problem. And getting a seat at a table after you've been publicly humiliated is not progress. Now, some of you watching might be thinking, it's not that deep, and why can't we just be happy for Michael B. Jordan? And I get it. On the surface, it's a big deal. A talented black actor gets recognized by the biggest award in Hollywood. But here's the thing, and this is what D.L. Hughley has been talking about. Celebrating individual wins while ignoring the systemic issues is not the way forward. And let's talk about Michael B. Jordan for a second. As talented as he is what Hollywood would call safe. Watch his interviews or go back through his public statements, and you'll notice he doesn't have strong opinions on anything, not on anything that might ruffle feathers. And even when the BAFTAs allows a man to shout the N-word at him, Michael still says nothing. Some fans even compared Michael B. Jordan to what the Michael Jordan was criticized for in the 90s. Remember when Michael Jordan famously said, "Republicans buy sneakers too," and refused to endorse a black candidate who was running against a known hater? Well, some would say that's the same energy here, but that's exactly why Hollywood loves Michael B. Jordan. He's talented enough to carry a franchise, and safe enough that he'll never make anyone uncomfortable. He'll never use his platform to say anything that might cost him the next role. And that's the point D.L. Hughley was trying to make when he said, whether it's the Oscar committee or a grand jury, whenever people meet in secret, the results ain't gonna be good for black people. But let me hear your thoughts on all this. Do you agree with DL? Or do you think this is reading too much into it? How do you feel about Michael B. Jordan and his status in Hollywood? Leave your comments below and stay tuned for the next video.